What's up, guys? Welcome or welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reacting to a video from RPM about a story of a law that is long overdue. Without further ado, let's get it.
You know who it is, and you know what time it is. Time to piss off some feminists, trad cucks, and whoever don't want to know the truth. Oh well, let's get started. What is going on, gents? It's RPM here, reporting from the Armory. Gentlemen, when I first saw this on Facebook, I held on to it for a couple of days to see if anybody else in the space would actually report on this. Well, it would seem that I'm breaking this news for the entire space, because this is something that we here, especially in America, have been trying to talk about, something that we as men should have been pushing for the longest. However, there are too many simps and too many turncoats in our midst to get something like this passed. Yes, gentlemen, your eyes do not deceive you with the title of this video. So it is imperative that you download this and share this with other content creators across social media, the whole 9 yards.
And that is exactly why we're here today, to spread the good word.
Because this is too important for men not to know. It can be done. It has been done. So why aren't men here in America getting this put on any ballots? But let me go ahead and get into the meat of this video. No more raising a child that isn't yours. Panama approves law that will jail mothers who lie about paternity.
Wow. Never have there been more beautiful words spoken than the ones I just heard.
No, it is not a clickbait. It is not a rage bait. It is not something from The Guardian or The Onion. No. This law is legit. Panama's National Assembly approved in its third debate Bill 510, which turns so-called paternity fraud into a crime. The vote was overwhelming, 42 in favor, none against, and none abstentions or abstains. Basically, no one says, yeah, we're not going to vote on this. No, everybody who was there said, yes, this should pass. The law punishes with 2 to 5 years in prison, plus fines, anyone who induces a man through deliberate deceit or concealment to recognize as his own a child who is not biologically his, forcing him to take on a legal, financial, and emotional responsibility that are not his.
Oh, yeah. Jail time and fines and a permanent criminal record. I love that. That way, women guilty of this actually have a literal paper copy of their whole facts for the next dude who wants to come in and play step simp.
Oh, gentlemen, we know why something like this law, could not be passed here in America so far. And of course, I'm going to explain later. The sentence can rise by up to half in the most serious cases, when the deception lasts more than 5 years, when 2 or more children are affected, or when someone gains a repeated financial benefit. The bill also makes DNA testing mandatory in the proceedings and allows the affected man to claim back what he spent from the actual biological father if the father knew the truth. It also includes a clause protecting the child. A fraud ruling does not affect the minor's access to state protection. The text is not final yet. It now goes to President Jose Raul Molino, who must decide whether to sign it or veto it. The bill's sponsor, lawmaker Jairo Salazar, insists the measure is meant to deter and not to attack women or families, while women's groups, i.e. feminists, warn that bringing a family conflict into prison could end up hurting the children themselves.
Hey, boy, ain't no fucking way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Ah, yes, gentlemen, I find it very ironic. It's all about the children, or should I say, the little human shields that they call children. Panama penalizes paternity fraud through Ley 535, which was signed into law by President Jose Raul Molino and published in the Gaceta Oficial de Panama. It establishes direct criminal penalties for individuals who deceive men into legally recognizing children that are not biologically theirs.
Yes! 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 Yes!
So yes, gentlemen, it went from a bill, the president signed it into law, so yes. I actually went to the Gaceta Official de Panama, and I actually had it translated. So yes, this is a legitimate law on the books that officially criminalizes paternity fraud.
Let's give a big round of applause and a big shout out to the people of Panama for making this possible. Shout out to El Presidente for signing it into law. I'm sure he had a lot of people in his ear telling him not to, but he went through with it. That's ballsy. I respect it.
Now, why is it that something like this would not be able to pass here in America? Well, we know why. Because the system, it makes money off of the enforcement of child support. There have been many men who brought into family court DNA evidence to say, this is not my child. And what does the court do? That doesn't matter. You still need to pay.
Ain't that some shit?
So yeah, the corrupt family court system is to blame. It's all about stripping the man of his money via the child. But yes, gentlemen, please share this. We need other content creators, especially in this space, talking about this. This is far too important to go under the radar for as long as it has. So yes, the future can look bright. However, I think once the younger generations start taking over, yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of change. There most certainly will be. Right now, you still got the boomers and the old Gen X still trying to hold on to power. But eventually, we're going to die off. And personally, I would love to remain alive to see what happens afterwards. But yeah, in my humble opinion, when the old guard dies off, that's when the change in America is really going to happen. Well, I've rambled on long enough. Once again, download this video, share it with other content creators, or just share the topic itself. We have to get more people talking about this. And for all you women out there who still think that you're going to be able to trick men into accepting kids that are not theirs, yeah, you better understand this. You better understand this crystally damn clear. The power that you thought you were going to keep via that deception looks like it went out in Panama, so it can go out here in America under the proper circumstances. Feminism, and once again, using the child as a human shield, that's going to go out right along with it. Because yes, there are men here in America who are in fact raising children that they don't know are not theirs. And gentlemen, this whole idea of feminists saying, oh my God, we shouldn't do this because that could bring violence towards women. No. The shaming tactics that feminists have used to stop men from doing what needs to be done, yeah, that needs to come to a screeching halt. It is what it is. That's all I got to say for this one. RPM, I am out.
Want to give a big shout out to RPM, which is short for Red Pill Married, my shipmate, but he's an OG. Shout out to him because this is a story, he's exactly right, that needs to be spread far and wide. This story needs to gain traction throughout the entire manosphere like wildfire. Because the fact that they were able to pull this off in Panama, and again, shout out to the good people of Panama, shout out to their legislature, shout out to their presidente for signing to the law against what I imagine had to be crazy opposition. Nobody wants women to be held accountable for their actions, especially the women who commit these crimes and the simps who give them every bit of runway to do it in the first place. This had to be hell. But I'm glad he stuck strong. And see, the thing is, and this is from the perspective of an American, born and raised here. I'm FBA, which is, for you guys who may not be familiar with that term, I'm foundational Black American, meaning that my great grandparents were slaves in the American South. So that's my connection. But I say this, as much as I would love to have this law on the books today in all 50 states and all of our territories overseas like Guam and Wake Island, the U.S. Virgin Islands, American Samoa, etc., as much as I would love to have that happen here, there's two other places in the world who could desperately use this ASAP. Number one is France, where it's actually against the law for a man to paternity test his own children without his wife's permission. Without the court's permission, if you paternity test your own children because you think you've been defrauded, they will imprison you for doing it. Insane. And the only place worse than that, as bad as it is here, is Jamaica, where paternity fraud is absolutely at epidemic levels. It's so bad they have a nickname for it. They call it jacket. Basically, the woman goes to the hospital, gives birth to a kid, and she brings home a jacket that somebody else made for that stepfather, who don't know he's a stepfather, to wear for the next 20 years. Incredible. But accountability is like kryptonite to women, guys. And for the few who support us, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. But the feminists who don't want this law to be real, they will do anything, no matter how underhanded, no matter how sneaky, no matter how immoral, to keep this law off American books. And I pray that as the boomers die off and the young guys who have come up on red pill talking points effectively, who've come up on the knowledge of female nature, who've grown up no longer believing that women are sugar and spice and everything nice, as they reach 18 and into their 30s when they can join our legislature and perhaps even run for president, I pray that as the boomers die off with their old way of thinking, that the young guard, as RPM said, really steps into their own and brings the hammer down. Because something's got to give. Either laws like this get passed or the birth rate continues to plummet off a cliff. Choose your path, ladies and gentlemen. I know which one I want. With that said, that's my time. Like the video? Comment down below. Share this video with a friend. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Never let your brother suffer in silence when the truth can set him free. Networkers, we working. Until next time.